Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for a very exciting Silversea Cruises webinar. My name is Anna. I'm an Industry Relations Specialist here at CLIA, and I'm going to just quickly go through some housekeeping before introducing our presenter. This webinar will run about 30 minutes with time for questions at the end. Please feel free to type your questions into the questions module of the webinar, and we will get to them at the conclusion of the presentation. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted on CLIA's YouTube channel, which is CLIA Global. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Joe Leon. Joe currently serves as the Vice President of Field Sales for Silversea Cruises. He leads Silversea's sales team, working with the area sales directors, inside sales, and business development teams to ensure that all travel partner needs and requests are met. He brings with him over 23 years of travel experience, working both on the travel agency side as well as the supplier side. A South Florida native, Joe is proud to be representing Silversea Cruises. And with that, take it away, Joe.
Great. Thank you, Anna. And good afternoon, travel advisors. And for those of you with me on the West Coast, good morning. I'll make this as brief as possible. I certainly don't want to take up too much of your time, but we have been operating the last several years really focused on creating new luxury customers. And how can we expand the current client base that are selling on our products, and where can we find those? So I think this webinar does a really good job of explaining our strategies and hopefully pointing you in the same direction so that we can mutually grow our business. But before I get too far into strategies and relationships and co-ops and things like that, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about us as a brand, Silversea, who we are, and how we differentiate ourselves from every other cruise supplier in the industry. And often that's a question that's asked by advisors and clients: what makes us different than the other luxury cruise providers that they themselves provide excellent experiences and beautiful, beautiful vacations and memories for your customers? Well, I'll tell you the biggest difference with Silversea is destination. Now, as cruise suppliers, we all have to focus on destination. It's what we do. It's the first order of business for all of us. But I can tell you here at Silversea, we operate 9 different ships. And by doing so, we're able to really blanket the entire globe. And Silversea offers over 900 unique destinations and ports of call in 2019. We're going to sail to over 900 again in 2020. And that is over twice what the closest luxury supplier, or quite frankly, any supplier operating in any sector of the industry. So with over 900 destinations, you could see we've covered really the entire globe. And it goes beyond those mainstream commercial ports like the Caribbean, the Mediterranean, Northern Europe, Alaska, which we have a very big presence. But we also have this expedition piece of our product that takes you to the world's most remote places in really the highest standard of luxury. And that's what makes us different. It's destinations. And it's not just the sheer number of 900 that we go to, it's how we do them. You know, when we sail when we sail out of London, we sail through the Tower Bridge on the small ships, and even the larger ships, they dock downtown in Greenwich. So we try to stay away from those big industrial ports. We need the destination immersion portion of your vacation and the experience to be intact, but also well thought out and something that we take great detail in doing. And there she is, right? There's the Silver Wind sailing under the Tower Bridge. It's a really extraordinary experience. And it really is our distinction, is to go out there and provide the most immersive destination experiences. We do so on 9 beautiful ships and with the highest standards of luxury. And the fleet is, as you see here, the top portion is as it exists today. So we have currently 8 ships in rotation and in service, with a 9th ship to be delivered in August of 2020, the Silver Moon. Now you see here we have our classic vessels, which range in size from 296 guests, as you see on the Silver Wind, up to the 600-passenger Silver Spirit. And then our smaller expedition class ships with the Cloud, which was our inaugural ship in '94. She was recently transformed to an expedition ship. She's now the most luxurious expedition ship at sea. She carries 254 passengers, and she sails in our polar regions, along with the Silver Explorer, which is 144 guests, and the Silver Galapagos, which is the one ship that stays in the same itinerary year-round. We deploy her every 7 days in the Galapagos Islands, and the Silver Galapagos will be replaced with our brand new build, purposely built for the Galapagos destination, and that is the Silver Origin that was just announced last year. So the Silver Origin will come online in May of 2020 is when we expect to take delivery of her. and she will replace the Silver Galapagos. And this is how we're able to get to all 900 of those destinations, is this expansive and large luxury fleet. And then on board, the lifestyle is what you've come to expect from a luxury brand. This is where we are very similar across the luxury platforms. So we include this inclusive luxury lifestyle on board. We're no different. The items you see listed here are included in all of our voyages. The top portion is what you would find included on your classic voyages, where we include butler service in every suite category, free Wi-Fi, unlimited for all guests, multiple restaurants to choose from. Some ships have up to 8 different dining venues, all beverages, including spirits and fine wines. And then, of course, that's available in room service as well, and dining and 24-hour room service, onboard gratuities. These are the things you've come to expect from a luxury cruise line. This is the standard for luxury cruising, and this is how we operate on board. And then when you do our expedition program, all of your exploration is included. So we don't really have shore excursions. We're going to places that are very remote. So they're more expedition-led tours by our qualified expedition team. And we give you complimentary items such as a parka if you're in the Arctic region, backpacks and water bottles if you're in the Galapagos. And our partnership with the Royal Geographical Society really gives us special moments on board where we have time to time representatives from the Royal Geographical Society on board giving lectures, leading tours, and also showing and displaying different items that they bring. And what that does is it creates this great value proposition. And so Silversea has now recently included air in all of its destinations. We also have this great reduced promotion for business class air. You can see that here on this slide. As you can see, all of our destinations are included here. So economy air comes standard with all of our pricing, and then there's an option to purchase business class. So you can see that our brand was built on 3 very simple pillars and standards, and it starts with destination and making sure that we put detail into how we plan our itineraries and the types of activities that we feature for our guests in those activities. It's at the forefront of how we plan. And then, of course, our luxury ships with the inclusive luxury lifestyle on board, providing you tremendous value. So destination meets luxury with a very strong value proposition, and that's really Silversea in a nutshell. So let's talk a little bit about how we're filling these 9 ships. 9 deployments is a lot, and you'll see in just a few slides how we compare with the rest of the luxury space. But, it's number one, we have to be consistent, and we must stay in contact with our customers. This quote is here from my boss, and he's right. If you're not speaking with them, someone else is, and we've seen that time and time again. Now, of course, we've got different tools. You have tools available to you that are available out there to help you stay in contact with your customers. Us as suppliers, we have these great resources, not only through the university channels where you can educate yourself on our products, but using our platforms and our agent portals to create emails, make your online bookings, source and advertise special single, solo traveler rates or special promotions that we might have. Those of you that belong to national accounts and large consortia, they too have great tools to help you market yourself and your agency. And then, of course, paying attention to the industry reports, reading those articles, knowing where we are as an industry, where the trends lie, is an important way for you to stay in contact with your customers so that you're speaking to them about relevant topics that will appeal to them. So our focus is looking for new luxury customers. We've got this unbelievable history and this great base of clients that are so very loyal to our brand. But for our future, we need to bring in new luxury customers. So how do we find those guests? We have found agents have had tremendous success in enrolling themselves in local clubs, being part of the local community. It's hard to get into those things if you're there to solicit, but if you're a member of these organizations, it's now much easier for you to work within those organizations, get together hosted groups or country club type of groups or events where we can host there. So stick to your charities, your club affiliations, churches, synagogues, of course. Think about writing articles for local magazine gazettes in your local little town and your little neighborhoods. That really gets the community aware of who you are, and then paying attention to their past travel history. What were their former positions and professions, the cars they drive, the homes they own. It's a little bit of profiling here, but it's necessary to make sure that we're speaking to the right person about the right experience. And then, of course, all the different channels that are available to you to stay in contact with your customers through email marketing. And again, we have programs that help you with that. Your national accounts do as well. We're here to help and host and pay for consumer events so that we can speak directly to your customers and help you secure new sales from there. Then, of course, we have our social media. We have editorial content that we're constantly being promoted in the press. We've got a great PR person here who does a great job really making sure that we're always part of the conversation. And social media, we have different resources and assets that you can use so that you can market our brand on social media platforms, as well as our direct mail pieces, which still perform very, very well, and many other digital options that we give you to promote our brand, particularly through our agent portal. You can create custom-built flyers and send custom emails to your clients with your calls to action. It's important that we try to get away from this sea of sameness, and our space is becoming more crowded, and our competitors are building more ships, but I think that their emphasis is misplaced. I think that in the past, we used to be able to hang our hats on building hardware with opulent materials and expensive materials and big opulent spaces. But I think that if we continue to build our business with that, we are going to fail. Today's market and today's luxury customer is evolving. This person is interested more in experience than they are the actual hard goods that you provide them on board. And these folks are boomers. We hear constantly about companies focusing on millennials and making their shift and market shifts to millennials. We're not quite there yet, and we won't be there for many years to come because the boomer market is truly the future of our product and our segment. And we found they are more dynamic in retirement. They see it as a time to enrich themselves, not a time to slow down. They are hungry for experiences. These folks, they feel like they've got some gas left in the tank and they're willing to burn it. So it's about going out there and seeing places they never thought they could ever get to, and seeing them in a way that is enriching in the sense that they get to not only enjoy the area or the place to visit, but the people, culture, the cuisine, and how can we make that as enriching as possible. So the opportunity for boomers is extraordinary, and I'm sure many of you have seen this statistic. Boomers are at the highest of the travel spenders. 68% of our disposable income is controlled by this population. They are set to inherit up to the number's $15 trillion in the next 20 years. But yet only 5 to 10% of marketing is targeted towards this traveler segment. Not for us. Most of our target is to this segment, and you could see why. This is the future, no question about it. And we'll catch up to the millennials in a few years down the line. But right now, we really need to attract these folks and talk to them about who we are as a brand. And luxury is something that many of them feel they don't need. They've never really had it that way. But now in retirement, I think it's important that we talk to them about how luxury has evolved. And it absolutely has. It's not about these opulent spaces anymore. It's about authentic and memorable experiences. It's about the simplicity of a location, the beauty in its people, and the truth in its culture. And I took this quote down here from an executive at Funant, and I thought it was brilliant. And he's so right. And it says, "Experience is the new currency in luxury." And if you think about what that means for just a moment, 20 years ago, had we presented a luxury product to take you to Papua New Guinea, where you're going to walk through the jungle in mud and sit in grass huts and enjoy local cuisine with some indigenous people, My customers may not have received that as a luxury experience, but today it's amongst their most precious memories, and the expectation of the traveler has changed. And the expectation of what is luxury has changed. So where are these folks, and where can we find them outside of those local charities and newspapers and clubs? Focus on your existing client base. All of you out there have a potential luxury customer. They just don't know it yet. And many of them have been spending luxury premiums and have yet to experience a true luxury product. So I ask you to focus your conversation on moving your customers up from the following markets. So premium cruise clientele market is again growing. It's growing very quickly. But those passengers that take their higher suites, the upper suites on some of these premium brands, maybe they're ready, many of them are ready for smaller occupancies, more intimate spaces on board, and maybe going to more off the beaten path places, more unique ports of call than what you would get out of the big commercial ports that most of these big ships can call on. Escorted land tour clientele, these folks are maybe tired of the grueling schedule involved with land touring, the packing and the unpacking, and catching the bus early in the morning. So talk to them about cruising, ocean cruising. It's a great way for them to see multiple locations in the world and do so in great comfort. River cruise clientele, this is a big opportunity for us. We can't do what River does, and River can't do what we do, but there are a few similarities between us. First off, they operate a fairly inclusive program where they include meals, wines with meals and whatnot. But they also have a very great destination immersion platform. Downtown docking with the riverboats is something that you'll find common on Silversea. I mentioned the Tower Bridge and Greenwich, but we also sail into Seville. All of our ships are narrow and short enough to make the turn up the river to St. Petersburg so that we dock downtown at the English Embankment and not have to take you to the industrial port outside of the city. These are big differences, and something that lines up pretty similar with what your customers get on the river. And then multi-generational families. We're seeing an increase in families that travel together to the Med, Alaska, and the Galapagos in particular. So, I keep saying, and it goes back to that quote where experience is the new currency in luxury. And you think about that for a second. Grandma is more likely to take 16 people to the Galapagos than she is to buy a new Mercedes or a diamond ring for her 80th birthday. And I think that's a big difference in today's market. So when talking to these premium customers, there are some very big differences in the overall experience that they receive from premium moving into luxury, even when they're stepping out of those beautifully appointed large suites on some of these premium suppliers. They have to share the hardware with up to 2,000, 3,000 other folks. So when speaking to them, this is the biggest difference. The ship size here, we put in comparison one of the premium lines that has a ship that's about the same size as the Spirit. Spirit's a little over 40,000 tons. And in this example, you see a premium ship that's about 45,000 tons, but carries 1,250 guests. Now, no matter how opulent you make those spaces or how large they are, the difference of having twice as many people on the same size hardware, I can tell you, is it definitely hinders the experiences, stark differences between the two. 900 different destinations. We talked about being more than double anyone else in the space, and that holds true. And I thought our marketing team did a really great job with this bottom left-hand corner image that you see here and trying to explain guest to staff ratios. It's something that sometimes is lost with customers, but I think that the marketing team did a really good job of explaining it down here. You could see on the left-hand side here just how many people need to get their first course before you get your second. And how many times have we been in a dining room where the table just next to us and arrived at the same time is one or two courses ahead or behind of where our table is, and that has to do with the service levels, no doubt. So think about that and share that with your clients, because it really is it's a great way to bring to light what service ratios mean to them and their overall experience. And then you look at our room size. Our standard suites on the Spirit and the Moon and the Muse are 376 square feet with balcony, walk-in closets, marble appointed bathrooms, And these name suites, high-level suites on these premium brands start sometimes under 300 square feet. So you can see big difference in the overall experience. And for you, I'd like to talk about opportunity. You can see here all of the different berths that we have in the industry. And our main competitors are Seabourn, Regent, Crystal, and Ponant certainly holds their own. You could see that we have about 21%, almost 22% of the luxury berths. And what's interesting is we carry almost twice the amount of, we operate twice the amount of ships as any of these other luxury suppliers, but are only just a few dozen berths more than they are in overall capacity. And that just speaks volumes to the exclusivity on board and how intimate our ships are. 9 ships, we carry no more than 600 passengers. And so I show you this slide because I really wanted to give you the breadth of opportunity that's available to move customers up from the lower markets. You know, Crystal, Regent, Seabourn, they've got really loyal customers. It's very difficult for me to try and get a customer to make the jump from Seabourn to Silversea. And I can tell you they have a heck of a time trying to convince one of my customers to abandon ship and head over to Seabourn. So the opportunity, and rather than fighting with those guys with the few thousand customers we have to fill our ships, let's focus on the tens of thousands of opportunities that are available on the premium suite categories, just with those 3 lines that you see listed here. And Oceania, we can throw them in the mix as well as a great source to talk to customers about upgrading their experiences and moving into the luxury platform. So you can see here, with over 71,000 berths deployed on a weekly basis in those premium categories alone, there's a world of opportunity for us to continue to fill these ships for many, many years to come. And to help you with that conversation, oftentimes customers hear the word luxury and they feel it's too much, it's overstated, it's probably going to be too expensive. And so we put this premium comparison together to, number one, compare and show the differences in the experiences. That's what you see here in this first slide. You can see here 7-night cruises on these examples. But the occupancy, the guest capacity, far different. In best case scenario, we're half the occupancy of Oceania, and just a fraction of what they find on Princess. Staff to guest ratios, we talked about that, how important that is to their overall experience. And our standard room size and categories, 376 square feet is where it starts, along with some of the other upgraded amenities that you'll find throughout the ship and throughout your voyage. But the price really becomes an objection. You know, they see the price down here and they say, Joe, I'm sure they're great, but are they really twice as good? Because they're twice as much. And I think how we answer that question is very important, and it's critical on whether or not we're successful in moving these passengers up to the experience that they deserve. Because at first it does appear that we're twice, sometimes maybe even 3 times as expensive. But what people lose sight of is the value that comes with the inclusions that we offer on board as a standard. And so building these value comparisons, and I ask all of you, go onto our agent portal at my.silversea.com and download these comparisons, share them with your customers, because it often they bury the memory of what that onboard bill truly cost and what was the overall cost of this vacation, not just what the price was that they inquired about. And as you see in this example, while we go through here, and again, this is a cost conversation, so we had to add some figures in here for items that we don't include on board either, because we wanted to make it a fair comparison. And as we go through here and we start to add all of these items up, you'll find quickly that we're now much more within reach than where we started. And are we going to be more expensive? Sure. And we should be. But the idea here is that we're not completely out of line or out of reach, and we're not double the price. We may be a bit more, but not all that much. So we've used this for the last 2 years and have been so very successful in attracting new luxury guests, and agents that are using this are some of the fastest growing for us in the country. So I encourage you all to please go on online and the my.silversea.com platform, pull down the comparisons and share them with your customers, because I think you'll be surprised at how quickly they get to the decision on their own without too much encouragement from you. Okay, so building a successful co-op plan with your supplier It's so important, and we've got wonderful agents around the country that really they go to great lengths to line themselves up with what our message is, and to go out and promote our product to their clients so that they can fill them. And when my team is out negotiating with you, the agency owners and managers, on co-op plans, I ask them to focus on 4 very important pillars. We must have an objective. It's got to be a well-organized plan. We want to make sure it's measurable, and we want it to be adaptable and flexible. Now, how can you help us reach that right co-op agreement? Always be transparent with us. We want this to be a win-win. And if you communicate with us, we tend to be very supportive. Share details on what it is that we plan on doing, how frequently, distribution, that sort of thing, frequency. Those details are important so that we can secure as many dollars for you as possible. Define clear objectives. We want, it's about generating awareness, of course, discovery, strengthening relationships with you, but revenue generation obviously is the clear objective, and growing your business with Silversea is number 1. Understand our desired audience, who it is that we're targeting. And we just talked about that at the first part of this session. It's speaking to the boomers, speaking to those passengers that are currently not sailing in luxury. And I certainly don't want you to think that I wouldn't like to welcome a Regent or a Crystal customer on our ships. We certainly would, and will continue to do so. But how we're going to fill these ships is bringing people up from the lower markets, no question. And then build a plan with us that works. Let's talk about strategic focus for building business for going into 2020. We've got many different tactical levers for 2019 that we can pull to help you sell some last minute space for this year, and helping us fill the needs that we have, and results. Let's come to an agreement on what it is that our plan is what's the main objective, and what are the results that we're all seeking. And if we can get a plan like this together with you, I can tell you my teams, number 1, will be very much engaged, very much a part of the plan, the marketing. We are happy to go out and host consumer events, webinars, lunch and learns, anything that you think is beneficial and that would help you grow your segment. Because ultimately, it's this virtuous cycle that we're all seeking. This is the goal. This is the goal. When a client gets a luxury cruise, they didn't think they can afford. The agency makes twice as much money off the first booking as you would have of any other booking in the lower markets. Silversea now gets a new luxury customer, and we both get repeat referral business for many years to come. And this is the cycle that we're all trying to achieve. And moving your customers up when they're ready is an important part of retention, and making sure that they keep their loyalty with you for many years. I know this goes without saying, and we've got an extraordinary group of professionals on board, but this is, I always talk about this first point because it's in my opinion, it's where I see we miss often. Often we want to give the customer what it was that they inquired about. They saw a price, they called, and of course we want the sale, so we proceed. But don't forget to qualify your customers. It's the most important part of the sales process, and it really is what we need to make sure that we're providing them with the right supplier. There are so many different suppliers that you all have the luxury and privilege of working with, that by asking your customers the right questions, you will never miss, and will always be able to put them on the product that best fits their particular needs. So please always remember to qualify. Don't lead with the price. Our prices scare folks. Once we qualify them and we present the product and we explain the benefits and the value behind what it is that we offer, the price is much easier to discuss. And then, of course, always focus on what they tell you. Sometimes they call asking about a product that may not fit what they really, really want. And we can uncover that by just really listening very closely and asking, again, the right questions. Talk about value and experience because it's there. That's what's most important. Customers want to make sure that they're getting the most but they're getting the experience they envision. It's not paying the least amount of money to get to a particular place. It's about getting the most out of the vacation experience they envisioned. So don't sell them short and don't focus on price. Let's focus on what's most important to them. And usually it's not price. And then, of course, price is last, and it should be last, because by then we've now found the perfect itinerary, the perfect supplier, the perfect experience that fits all of their needs. And the price is what it is. And at that point, we can figure out if there's some compromises that need to be had, or the customer just goes ahead and commits, which happens often. So one last point, prove your worth and gain their trust. Have fun, enjoy. We are creating these beautiful dreams. Have fun, enjoy yourselves. People love working with people who are happy and are having fun. People who have fun, we make great decisions, and we work hard for our customers, and we do what we do with a high level of responsibility. And many of us in this industry, when we're asked why we chose this industry, we say because we love travel and we're passionate about travel. And that's very true and is the case for most of you. But let's remember that making money is fun too, right? And there's nothing wrong with being in this to make a little of that as well. So you take all of this together and take these. Hopefully you can find some of these strategies and techniques to go out there and identify some new customers for yourselves. And I hope that we'll be welcoming them on board very, very soon. Anna, that concludes our webinar. I know that you'll want to open it up for some questions. So let's go ahead and do that now.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We do have some questions coming in, and I invite everyone to continue typing them in. Our first one is from Teresa, who is hoping that you can repeat where everyone can download those spreadsheets with the prices.
Great. Yes. Thank you, Teresa, for asking that. my.silversea.com. And you can actually access that through the main Silversea Cruises website. There's an agent portal tab there, and from there it'll ask you to create a username profile. Go through the steps. Our inside team will reach out to you, make sure that they activate your account. Once that's done, you have access to all the materials. You have access to the assets that we have. You'll have access to our marketing platform to create flyers, as well as our booking engine.
Oh, perfect. That sounds easy enough. Our next question is from Sarah, who is wondering if you have a training academy.
We do. We do have a travel agent university. We've actually just expanded it, where we have several different modules. So once you complete the first, you then now become eligible to complete the next step, and so on and so forth. So yes, thank you for asking that, Sarah. We do have a university.
Perfect. This next question is from Robin, who is wondering how she should go about setting up an event. Who at Silversea should she contact to get that set up?
Great question, Robin. Thank you. I would work with, if Robin is an agency owner, then she should be aware of who her local area sales director is. And I would go directly to that person. We're not looking for big audiences here. This is a high-end product, so it doesn't take much to make a real big impact. Any one of you out there that has 15 couples that you'd like for us to host an evening for, we'd be happy to fly in and host an evening for the right 30 people, because we feel confident that even with just 15 couples, the chances of us selling and converting at least 3 or 4 cruises is very, very high. So we'll take that opportunity anytime it comes. So please reach out to your area sales director. And on the my.silversea website, when you go to the portal, there is a section there that says know your sales team. It lists all of our area sales directors, their respective territories, as well as their inside contacts and the people inside on the inside team that help them to manage those territories. So you should be able to find them on the website. But if not, Sarah, you can email me directly, and I'll be happy to put you in contact with the right person. My email address is josephL@silversea.com. And anyone on this webinar, feel free to reach out to me anytime with any questions you have.
Okay, perfect. And this next question is from John, who is wondering if the Silversea reservation system will be moving to Espresso.
Great question. Don, thank you. Yeah, so you may have noticed that on Cruising Power, you now see that beautiful image of the Silver Wind sailing through the Tower Bridge. That's our iconic shot. So we're starting to see a presence on the platforms. We are moving into a place, hopefully, in the next several months, where we can link the Cruising Power IDs along with those my.silversea IDs and seamlessly point you into the Silversea booking engine so that you don't have to log into multiple areas. The Espresso platform, that's downline. So I think we need to first make sure that we're on the Cruising Power platform, and then eventually it'll all we'll eventually be moving into all of the Royal Caribbean platforms and access. So very exciting for us. We think it's a huge opportunity. So I'm glad you asked that question. Soon, I hope.
Okay, perfect. And it looks like those are all of our questions. I do want to remind everyone that this was recorded. It will be posted on CLIA's YouTube channel, which is CLIA Global. And thank you, Joe, so much for the information. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Great. Thank you, Anna. And thank you, everyone, for your time. We very much appreciate your support.
Bye.